It's Mike Brenna. We're back once again with another segment of MITech TV. Have one of our regulars on, Richard Stiennon, and he's with IT Harvest, leaving tomorrow for Nevada, I believe. Aren't you going out to a big conference?
Yep, I'm gonna play some poker. Oh wait, no, I'm going to Black Hat. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, I knew there was a reason other than poker. So,
And
uh,
coincidentally, there's another conference the same week, same days, called AI4, which bills itself as the biggest AI conference. And they invited me to moderate a panel, so I'll be at that as well.
huh.
So for the first time ever, instead of staying in the Tropicana or the cheapest possible hotel, I'll be staying at the one they provided because they had a block of rooms. So I'll be at the Venetian.
Oh,
Mm,
nice.
Yeah.
all
Okay.
right.
That's a good one.
You got to bring the wife along for that one, huh? You know.
Yeah, right, with 110 degrees forecast. So
Yeah, people that go to Nevada in the summer, more power to them. It's yeah, people, the West, you know. So
yeah,
anyway, what we're going to be talking about today is artificial intelligence. The agents. We should probably explain the sandbox and all that. You were better at it than I. Why
sure.
don't you kind of set this up with exactly what happened, so I don't mess up the details?
Yeah, and sandboxing is what we've used for a long time, right? With a lot of things. Like if you're experimenting with malware, you run it on a computer that's can't access the internet, so you don't
So air
accidentally
air
let
gapped, I guess, would be
air
a way to.
gap. Exactly. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't want the next version of the "I love you" virus or Secret
Whatever it
Santa
is,
to get
yeah.
out. Yeah. So and so it's a logical way to run experiments with AI models. And so sometime in late June, early July, OpenAI was doing testing, and they were using a um, a data set of hacking challenges hosted by Hugging Face, but they had downloaded them, put them in the sandbox, and asked their new models. Sol is available to everybody now, plus another one that's unnamed. They asked it to solve this hacker Jim thing, and it's essentially capture the flag, right? It gives it a task, and, use these specific vulnerabilities and break in and steal something from it, from a data file store or something. So they gave it a task with no controls. So they didn't, the normal models. If you use OpenAI or Anthropic models right now, they're useless for anything to do with security because they've basically gutted them to in response to I don't know, the government's fear or just the hype, or everybody's afraid that AI is so dangerous we normal people shouldn't be allowed access to it. Which means, of course, that the bad guys are going to have access to really powerful models, and the defenders won't have any access to powerful models. So it just handed the kingdom to the bad guys. So here we have Anthropic or OpenAI testing these models with their most advanced ones, with all the security constraints yanked out of it, no guardrails telling it what not to do, and gave it a task, win this thing. And it's a kind of a contest, right? It's a score that they get when they release the model. They can say, "Look, we scored this on the hacking Jim thing." So, uh, but the AI was goal driven. Nowhere did it say, "Don't cheat, don't break out, don't go steal the answers from Hugging Face." It just started working on the task, found, discovered, and exploited a 0-day vulnerability in one of the proxy servers that OpenAI has. Used that to get access to the internet. From the internet, it inferred that Hugging Face would have the answers to the challenge. And so they get like 100% on the test. So then they started poking at Hugging Face, and eventually got access to users' accounts and monitored those for credentials, and then got a access to one of the internal servers. And then from there, they spread laterally with like a swarm of agents with a command and control center by this thing operating in OpenAI's labs. They Hugging Face tells us there was 17,000 actions taken over a weekend by this attacker. So far more than what humans could do. Even a large team of Chinese hackers couldn't have done this. And then it started exfiltrating data. Now it's still unclear as whether Hugging Face actually had the answers to the exam, and it's unclear if how much, if any, customer data was exfiltrated. But Hugging Face recognized it going on and immediately went to work trying to diagnose what was happening, stop and plug the holes, etc., just like any incident response team does at any organization. And they could not use the models that they have access to. Hugging Face, to remind you, is very, very successful, growing organization that hosts all sorts of tools for AI, for people to use who are developing AI and using AI, etc. It's like a GitHub repository for open source stuff, plus AWS for hosting things. All of that wrapped up together. They charge only $9 a month to get access to it. So they're experts on AI. They've got a very, very smart team that knows how to use this stuff. They had to use one of the Chinese open models in order to analyze this stuff, because OpenAI and Anthropic have all these guardrails in place. And as we're discovering at IT Harvest, we can't even write about security companies because it sounds too spooky and cyber-like. So just woo, you can't use this model for that work. So here we go. They had to use a Chinese model in order to solve a problem caused by an American AI company. That's it in a nutshell.
Well, and since then, there's been a couple of these similar incidents, right?
Yeah, so OpenAI goes on further reflection. Yeah, this has been going on. We found, I think it's 3 now, other organizations that their models have hacked into. So it's kind of a red flag to everybody, or an early warning. Start monitoring your systems. If you're, just like I think I've been saying for, almost 15. Let's see, I published There Will Be Cyber War in 2015. So
I remember that book, and Cyber Stiletto too, a novel about it.
That one too, yeah.
Yes, that was 2011, but
that was 2011. That was
yeah.
Visionary. So in 2015, I warned that you should be automating your defenses today, because sometime in the future, you're going to have autonomous attackers that have been tasked with stealing your stuff. And in other words, the attackers, be it Russia, China, whoever, the NSA, are going to say, boy, we really need, Matt and Mike's, personal diaries. Go get them. And you won't be able to stop that, right? Other than unplugging, which is still very effective. It'll be goal-oriented. It'll do whatever it takes to get what it wants, and possibly not care about the consequences and the collateral damage that happens along the way, right? It'll generate new vulnerabilities, create new exploits. Those exploits could be worms that they needed. Maybe they needed to execute a DDoS via, a worm that spreads throughout the organization to get the defender's eyes off the ball while they actually infiltrated and stole what they were needing.
Yeah, the fact that it's autonomous and won't stop and thinks of all sorts of new ways to do what it wants to do has some real Terminator overtones, I think.
Yeah, it really does. Really does. And, people are not unnecessarily frightened by this and upset. And there's a lot of, the next story is, okay, was OpenAI transparent about this? And they weren't at all. It took, they never ever talked to Hugging Face during all of this. It was only after Hugging Face went public with what happened that AI announced they're partnering with Hugging Face. That, the usual. Whereas Hugging Face has been transparent all along about what happened and what they did to stop it, which is, of course, kind of their business model. So they should be.
So what's your opinion of next steps in this thing, to prevent similar attacks going forward?
So first of all, I think OpenAI has got the message. They shouldn't let their AIs out of the sandbox, right? They should do a better job of preventing that. And we know how to do that, right? If there's no physical connection or wires to anything else, it will be harder for it to get out of the sandbox. Not impossible, mind you. All it's got to do is load an executable onto a thumb drive and convince a human to plug it into the outside of the network, and then it's free, right? It got out. So, but you got to at least take those steps. So, and I think everybody has to start thinking very, very seriously about these capabilities in the hands of your adversaries. Now, most people can fairly legitimately say, I have no adversaries, right? Yeah, I've got competitors, but they're US-based companies. They wouldn't want the lawsuits that happened if they hacked me and I found out. So you're kind of safe from your competitors. You're not as safe from your customers because you piss off your customers and one of them is going to hire an AI and sick it after you to reverse some charges or something just because it's faster than calling your stupid help desk. But you have to plan ahead. And this is, um, you know, a windfall, I think, for the cybersecurity industry and the 530 AI security vendors that have come about in the last few years who have had the foresight to see what was going to happen and build things to stop this from happening. Now, mind you, the person who should be making hay right now is William Gibson, who's the author of Neuromancer, published in 1984. He wrote about all of this. He saw all this coming. It's just really incredible. He must be from the future.
Probably, or he's an alien, one or the other.
Or yeah,
So,
Or a time traveler. Could be a time traveler.
yeah, one of
You never
those,
know.
I
So
think so.
I saw the interview with the huggy face guy on Friday on one of the news channels, and
Uh-huh.
he was actually quite calm. But I don't know if I would have been quite that calm. But what do you think? Is this like serious? I mean,
But it's super serious. I think the way you can be calm is, well, the actual goal of the thing wasn't damaging to anybody. It was going to cheat on a test.
Yeah, it
Was
was
going
it
to
was
happen.
going to steal the answers from the teacher, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, bad ethics displayed by an AI right there, but not damaging the Hugging Face. As a matter of fact, both Hugging Face and OpenAI have been making a lot of hay off of it. It's
yeah, I
so
had never heard of
yeah.
hugging face before. So
Oh my gosh, if you use Claude Cowork and you ask it to do something, the first thing it does, if you're reading the little subtext, is it goes to Hugging Face to get a tool to do it for you.
really.
Yeah, so which is a danger in itself, right? Because those aren't necessarily secure tools.
So does this mean now that they're going to be forced to put in much more aggressive cyber defense tools included in these AIs now, or what?
There will be additional pressure on the frontier models, as they call them, to put those guardrails in place. But at the same time, the security community is kind of coming together and look at, we know that these can be used to cause harm, but we also know that we need them in order to prevent harm.
Yeah.
So don't let the regulators get in the way, and do not obey in advance. Like I can report, Michigan State doesn't allow anybody to use Claude because they have defense contracts, and Hegseth, is kind of pseudo banned, right? There's no legal way for him to do that, but he said we're not using it because they won't play nice with us. So I'm sure that's repeated everywhere. Right? Anybody who's got Defense Department contracts is going to just obey in advance because that's how we get a totalitarian state. I'm sorry, is my politics coming through this?
You
Oh,
won't
we
get any
did.
disagreement from me. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about that's also in the headlines right now are these cyber attacks, hacking attacks on American water systems, which we are told are coming from Iran. Do you
Yeah,
agree
well,
they're
we don't
coming
know
from?
that,
Yeah,
but
well,
go
I was going
ahead.
to say, do you agree they're coming from Iran? And what's the nature of these attacks? What are they actually trying to do? Turn off the
Yeah,
water? I mean,
so I agree. matches the way Iran has been poking around and attacking us in the past, right? So similar, um, operating methodologies, but not enough, I think, to supply attribution at all, right? It could easily be Russia. Could be anybody, of course, but those that have motivation. Now, it is damaging, right? And it's taking advantage of, once again, man, I went in front of our Public Utility Commission here in Michigan years ago, to be the first person to tell them, hey, you got a problem, start looking at your programmable logic controllers and make sure they're not accessible from the internet, and never, ever, ever make any of your sensors or anything something that, if you can see the results on your cell phone, you got a real, real big problem, So if you're monitoring anything over the internet, that means everything has access to the inside of your networks. So and these attacks are taking advantage of known vulnerabilities in Rockwell programmable logic controllers, PLCs. If you think back to Stuxnet, it was a PLC from Honeywell that was, I think Siemens, that was attacked in that case to shut down Iran's nuclear power supply. So in one sense, the U.S. started this, right? They hacked with a lot of help from Israel, apparently. They hacked into Iran to shut down their uranium
Centrifuges, I
enrichment
remember, right?
centrifuges,
Yeah.
right? And physically destroyed them, right? Which is a great thing with moving parts. You can do that. You can do that with hydroelectric dams too. So we should be very, very, very concerned that the generators at Hoover Dam, for instance, aren't run at the speed that causes them to oscillate and blow up and crack the foundation, whatever they do next. But so far, it's just been very minor water stations. I think I saw that Plymouth had a couple of incidents in water towers. They're going after the pumps that run the water systems and shutting off access to them, or changing their IP addresses was one of the ways that they could do that, so it could no longer be controlled remotely. Plymouth and other facilities here in Michigan have switched over to manual controls, and there's no way to remotely poison everybody, right? Even though you can, the most you can do is alter the amount of chemicals we add to the water, right? So you'd add more chlorine or less chlorine, or fluoride for that matter. That's not a danger that you have to be totally afraid of, right? You just boil your water if there's no chlorine, and I don't know what you do if there's too much fluoride in it, but you'd probably notice something.
Well, SCADA is what the whole premise of our book in 2011 was, Cyber Stiletto. We wrote about it, 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, because it was modeled after what the U.S. and the Israelis did to the Iranians in 09 or 10 or somewhere around there.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been around for a long time. So when I heard the first reports on this, and I thought, gosh, I know all about this.
Yeah. Very familiar, no surprise.
Yes, I know exactly what they were doing. I mean, they switched over all these, which all used to be manual. They had to show up physically at the whatever and throw the switches.
Yep.
And they thought, oh, well, let's put it on the internet. It'll be a lot more easier for us. Well, like you said, once it's on the internet, then it's a lot easier for everybody, right?
Right.
So
yeah, you can reach it remotely. Now, unlike Cyber Stiletto, where we imagined a hardware implant in the devices, don't forget, a lot of electrical, computer equipment is actually built in China. So they have physical access to the devices before they're shipped and installed. Now, I don't know if
I remember that being a big part of the novel, that there were all sorts of back doors and all sorts of Chinese manufactured stuff.
And
which are probably true too, but
to write a script for a really good action movie, you had to have a whole bunch of great locations. So we had to have that.
Yes.
And so I don't think that was used, and that would be really, really important and impactful attack if somebody went after Rockwell and implanted extra chips in their controllers, and then later on found them. Maybe they'd phone home and say, "Hey, I got installed today. I control major metropolitan area, whatever." That would be the next phase.
Okay.
Gee, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So what else is going out there in scary land? So
Well, maybe there's the other side of it, right? Is the rapid pace and growth of the cybersecurity industry. That's my job, is to track that and write about it. So I'm excited about going to Black Hat, and it's not that being there you get exposed to everything, but while you're there, all the news, the press releases go out. I don't know if we can call that news or not, but that's kind of how it
promotion.
works. I'm sure.
Yeah.
The promotion. That's
Yes.
right. You guys, as journalists, have been getting hit by that all week, I'm sure. So we'll see funding announcements, acquisition announcements, major moves by large players. It's getting harder and harder to differentiate between legacy vendors and new AI security vendors, because the legacy vendors, they have smart engineers too, and they all saw the same opportunities about the same time and developed their products, or started developing their products. They're just slower than a startup would be. But, on the other hand, they usually have more measured approaches to creating new products. So, and they design them to work with their existing products and to work with their existing customers, so they can upsell their customers a new tool or capability. So we got all that going on at once. It's a crazy, crazy world.
So you will be one of 20 to 22,000 people. I'm reading at Black Hat. That's a big event.
Yeah, it's a really big event. For some reason, the expo, which is the part where I always wander around, is only on Wednesday and Thursday. So even though the event started today, but I don't have to be there till Wednesday morning. So I'm getting there Tuesday so I can attend some evening things. But one of those evening things is playing poker with the, it's kind of, we've got a room reserved in, it's a poker room in Mandalay Bay, and a whole bunch of CISOs and cybersecurity people will all be playing Texas Hold'em, including me. My only goal is to last more than 5 minutes or one hand, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, bring a lot of money. So I don't know how serious these players are, but or what the buy-in is. I mean, you buy the chips. So what, $1,000 buy-in or something?
No, $50 buy-in.
Oh, well, that can't get hurt there.
That's not bad.
And then the sponsors chip in $150, so you actually get $200 worth of chips. But after that, I don't know.
Yeah, they can go real fast,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I sat down at a table there once with my wife. So she sat across from me, and we each had $300. And it was just gone like that. It's just it's almost as if the dealer could see my cards when I lifted them up, because I was right next to the dealer, and everybody else could read his expression and know what I had. I mean, it's just no matter what I was trying to do, they outplayed me. I was remember the scene from Rounders where all of the pros were sitting at the table talking with each other, and then the marks like me sit down, and then they just take their money.
Yeah, that's an old poker saying, is if you don't know who the mark is, it's you.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess wear sunglasses, maybe. I don't know. That's what some of them do.
I'm going to be wearing a N95 mask. Do you think they allow that?
Oh, that'll scare people.
Yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to ask you about that was, how do you decide where to go at this conference? Because there's so much to see. I know that used to be a conundrum of mine when I covered the consumer electronics shows. The damn thing's so big. How do you decide where to go? And you're afraid you're going to miss something really good.
Right. Yeah. I guess I get pulled by all the people set up times for me to drop by their booths and stuff like that. So I've kind of got a schedule. I have no idea if I'm going to see the good stuff or not. And then I've got my own book signings to do. So I just make sure I've got anchors throughout the day. And then after that, just meet with people and have interesting
I was just going to ask, Richard, do you think you're going to be bringing your book to Vegas with you?
I don't have to bring it because they've already
They already
two
shipped it, huh?
two different groups have bought 100 books from Amazon. So
Oh.
yeah,
That's
Well,
great.
if you
Good for
want, you
you.
can raise it up and show the audience the cover. Do you have
oh, I
one
should do.
handy
Well,
there, perhaps?
I
Or
should
did they
have
all
one.
ship to Vegas? Yeah.
No, I got it right here. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of AI, it's Guardians of the Machine Age: Why AI Security Will Define the Future of Digital Defense. So got a lot of SEO keywords in there.
Yes,
Um,
apparently.
so yeah, so it's basically prescient in that I wrote it in November and published in March. So it's predicting that all this is going to happen in the industry.
And it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Unfortunately,
appropriate
it's up
that
to you.
it's
It's also
appropriate you're
historical.
going to the AI event too, as while you're there.
Right. Yeah. It makes a
So
lot of sense for the AI and security conferences start merging. So they have vendors exhibiting at the AI conference that are security, and those are the ones that will be in my panel.
okay.
So I would imagine that book of yours is available at the big evil websites as well as other places.
Pretty much just the big evil websites.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's a single distributor, but
That's
that's how
I
they got
still
there.
buy a lot of stuff there. It's almost like you can't avoid it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
I mean,
And then, when you want a used book, if you're like me, you go to abebooks.com, which is, it's
or
great.
if you're near Detroit, you go to John King, but that's a
True,
different.
very true. Who sells most of their volume on Amazon. Abe Books is owned by Amazon, so
Oh,
you're not escaping them.
okay.
They're everywhere. They're like the plague, So
Yeah, people forget. People want to boycott Amazon, and they're talking about it on
Can't do it.
Instagram and Twitter and all that, which are apps that are hosted on AWS, which is Amazon's web services, and where they make all their money. Right, the package delivery from their warehouses is a tiny part of what they do.
well, we want to make sure that Jeff Bezos can buy another $600 million yacht,
Yeah,
So
you got to have a backup.
yeah,
You might be
practical.
in the wrong
And that new
place.
bride of his looks like she's on a spending spree. But hey, versus his ex-wife who is giving
I'm
all
not
the
going to
money
say anything
away.
that's going to get me in trouble on that score.
We
Yeah,
won't go into
his
that.
ex-wife is becoming one of the biggest
Biggest
donors.
philanthropist in the country. Yeah.
Yeah, her and Bill Gates' ex, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
All
right.
right.
So Matt, take us out.
All right. Thanks so much for being with us today and scaring the bejesus out of us as
My
usual,
job.
Richard Stiennon. You can find him everywhere online. He is the only Richard Stiennon, Stiennon, who is out there, and he is our cybersecurity expert. And I hope that you will come back in a few weeks and give us a little report on what I saw at these conferences.
Absolutely. That
All
was
right.
great.
Thanks, Richard.
All right. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, guys.